all Black people are not the same. And I know that might be difficult for a lot of people to understand, because when you're constantly bombarded with negative messages about a certain group of people, you will start to believe that those type of people are all the same. Hi, my name is Heather and I create videos on all things related to mental health with a special interest in improving self-esteem for Black women and healing racial trauma. So if you are interested in that sort of content, please subscribe because I post every single week. In this video, I am going to talk about my experience with a certain microaggression that I heard growing up, how this microaggression can impact your self-esteem, and ways that you can overcome it if you heard these sort of comments as well. If you need a quick refresher on what a microaggression is, you can check out this video that I have up above where I explained in a little bit more detail what exactly a microaggression is. But basically, microaggressions are everyday subtle slights against a certain group of people. I have experienced microaggressions all throughout my life, in every area of my life, and I still hear them pretty frequently actually. But now I'm easily able to identify them as soon as I hear them, and I'm able to also deal with them when it happens. I was not able to do that growing up just because I really wasn't aware of it growing up, and unfortunately that negatively impacted my self-worth and self-esteem. When you experience racism on an everyday basis, even when the form of racism is in subtle comments, then you may start to want to socially isolate yourself from others, which is something that I've talked about on my channel before, where I think that I suffer from a bad case of social anxiety, when in reality, it really is just a symptom of racial stress and me not wanting to put myself in a position where I am constantly hearing these microaggressions and these negative comments that are racist. So the comments that I heard, especially when in my childhood and even within my friend group, were I am blacker than you are, or you're not like other Black people, or you don't even sound Black, or even you sound like a white girl. And yes, these were my friends. And sometimes I would even hear them from other Black people as well. These comments can be harmful because they highlight the subtle nuances of racism that is depicted throughout the media that do not accurately represent all Black people. All Black people are not the same, and I know that might be difficult for a lot of people to understand, because when you're constantly bombarded with negative messages about a certain group of people, you will start to believe that those type of people are all the same. For example, hearing that you're not like other Black people, to me it means that you find Black people to be problematic for you, and somehow, like a miracle, you somewhat find me to be likable. Or the phrase "you sound like a white girl" implies that you find Black women to be uneducated or not intelligent, and you are just amazed that I can read and write. And when these comments are coming from other Black people, honestly, it just makes me really sad, because Black people are not immune from internalizing these negative beliefs and messages about Black people, which then causes them to think negatively about themselves. But I know that I am not alone, and I know that I'm not the only Black person that has experienced these sort of comments from well-meaning white people or another Black person just trying to tear you down or just show how insecure that they really are. So the question is, how do we protect our mental health from these sort of comments? And how should we respond in this situation? So the first thing that I would suggest that you do is to write down a list of things that you like about yourself, or a list of things that you're good at, and make sure that you keep that list in an area where you can take a look at it daily. And I know that this may sound a little ridiculous and maybe even silly, but it actually works. And an old therapist of mine suggested that I do this, And I really found it to be beneficial because at the time when she told me to do this, I realized that I really didn't know exactly who I was. And so because I didn't know who I was more vulnerable to internalizing these negative stereotypes. And when these comments came up, it really negatively impacted my self-esteem, like I mentioned. So when I did take the time to write things that I did like about myself and the things that I was good at, I was able to put more focus on the positive aspects about myself. And I made sure that I took the time to practice those things that I really liked about myself. And also it just made me more mindful throughout my day when I was around other people and I might experience negative comments towards me, probably due to my skin color. I was able to just think to myself, okay, does this resonate with me? This person might think something negative about me and they may have unintentionally said something racist. For example, if they're telling me, okay, I am not like other Black people, they must not like Black people and they might think negatively about Black people. That doesn't mean anything negative about me. It actually means a lot more about them. It just made me more aware of who I really am. And if that person didn't see that, then that's their problem. And that honestly just brings me to the next point, is that we really need to be setting boundaries and limiting our time and spaces that preserve these negative beliefs about Black people. And I know that that can be hard because you can hear these comments anywhere. You can hear them when you are just searching for a TV show to watch, or you can hear them at work, school, just stepping outside of your house. But sometimes we do have the choice to limit our time away from certain groups of people, or we don't have to put ourselves in certain situations where majority of those people or that space has that belief about you. And you know, if you do feel comfortable, for example, if a friend has said something like this to you and you feel comfortable to say, hey, that's racist, or can you tell me why you said that? Can you explain to me a little bit? And yes, that might make the other person feel uncomfortable, but their feelings should not outweigh you being put in a position where they can just be racist to you and they can harm you in that way. So please speak up for yourself and please limit your time away from certain spaces or a group of people who think negatively about you. Or stop watching shows that make you start to believe that you have to act a certain way, or you might even start to internalize negative beliefs about Black people and also yourself, which is my third tip. And I really highly suggest that Black people also start practicing anti-racism work and start unlearning a lot of things that we believe to be true, because a lot of things that we believe to be true is a whole bunch of BS. And this is something that I have been doing as of lately because this has really been prominent in my awareness with everything that is just going on, and I'm starting to learn why I seek certain people's approval of me, or why these comments really negatively impact me, and how I have even been shaped by white supremacy. Because again, if we grew up in this society, it doesn't matter what your background that you are, if you grew up in this white supremacist society, then you have some unlearning to do, and you may even have some internalized racism. So that's something that we need to do as well, because if these people are saying these comments and we all know where it is coming from, and if it is really negatively impacting you, like it definitely did in my youth and sometimes it even does now, then I must hold these beliefs as well. You know, if I'm feeling so quickly triggered by these comments, then I also need to see, okay, do I also hold these beliefs? And if I do, I need to find a way to release it from my mind. Whether that you want to do that by trying to read books from Black authors, or if you want to listen to podcasts about racism, do some journaling, go talk to a Black therapist, whatever that looks like for you. Black people, we must do some unlearning as well. So I hope these tips that I shared with you are helpful in some way, and if you have any other ideas on how people can speak up for themselves in these situations, or ways that they can cope or just overcome these sort of everyday slights, then please leave it in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. And if you like this video, please let me know by subscribing, and I will talk to you soon.